Welcome back to ShopDog-Garage. I am going to undo everything I did yesterday because I don't like it. So I tried to work with what they gave me here, and of course I made a nice little entry point, and I don't know, I'm feeling very bundle of snakes here. I don't think I like it. I want to think on that. I may just get rid of those connectors altogether. I don't know that they're necessary. So the big change, besides I didn't like the way it was all going, is instead of trying to run the wiring under the radiator like I was trying to do and couldn't really find a safe way to do, we're going to actually run them along the grill. I've got these wire clips, and I can probably get something different if I need to, maybe even drill some little holes and zip ties. However, I've already closed the hood, which is why everything's peeled back, and this would work perfectly fine. No latch issues. That gets that out of the weather, keeps it away from rocks and everything, because this giant bathtub at the bottom down here. So it's already bad enough I'm going to have to run the fan wires down there, but anything I don't have to, I'm not going to. I think this is my better preferred solution here. I normally would prefer to run things across a core support on the inside, but one, that's not how this car was built. Two, with that supercharger belt, I think I'd like to limit any chance of that touching wires when it, when and if it goes, because they do slip and they do break. So let's limit how many things can be damaged. That makes for a much tidier setup here. I'll probably pull that through, although it is protected. I think I like that setup better, and for now I've just got the halo connector running here. I don't know where I'm routing that stuff yet. I'm ignoring the halos for now. And a good solid ground. I already ohmed it out. That's a good ground. So let's replicate the same thing over there. ShopDog's little board. This is what we've decided on. Like I said, I think I will wind up getting a better fitting clip here, but that's not a big deal. These look like this. I've seen some black ones with a shorter little stub to lock in. That's not the hard part. It's mostly just getting the wire, making sure there's plenty of it. We now have that light harness in, that light harness in, the feed, and it says electric fan, and it's got a 25 amp fuse. We're literally just going to use this to power the relays, so that's all we're using that for. But it gives us a spot where we can break that. The relays are right here. They will also have fuses, so we've got that. Let's see, so what we've got, these black grounds, these are what the sniper is going to provide. This pink, that's going to be that 12 volt, and then obviously the heavy red feed is going to come from the battery, and the two heavy orange feeds will go, well, right there. So, and then I think I'm just going to ground right here. I know this is a great ground location, easy to get at, easy to take care of. This is the O2 sensor, so I've just got it up out of my way right now. We've got that secondary harness here. We're not using this connector on this vehicle, but we're not going to cut it off, so I got to figure out where we're going to terminate that and just get it out of our way. It's probably going to live right in here. We'll deal with that in a bit. This is the can connector. Don't need that yet. I am trying to figure out how to make some kind of mount under the battery tray, which, remember, it's gonna, there will be heat stack up there for holding some of the wiring out of the way. I haven't quite figured all that out yet, but we've got this harness here for the sniper that we've started. So there's our two feeds for the sniper. This purple wire goes into the gray wire here, so that's where that goes. That red wire is going to also come from the sniper. ShopDog's kind of in my way right now. These are the fan. These obviously are the battery. So we're kind of getting there. And then Okay, yeah, this harness here. So this pink wire is going to go to that red wire we just looked at. That brown wire is going to go to the tack on the dash. The blue wire is the fuel pump. Oh, wait, no, the pink is the input one on that. Anyway, I'll deal with that when I get there. Yeah, and then this is our heater. That is a heavy orange right here on this harness. That's the heater. Here is our, and they're very heavy. I don't know why, but here's our MSD box. And I did have to extend it, so, you know, it is what it is. This is the very heavy feed for the fuse box. You know, crap, that'll take 100 amps plus, no problem. This white wire goes to that brown wire on that connector over there. This goes to the pink wire on that connector. This blue wire goes to the blue wire on that connector. This pink wire was originally going to be used to trigger the MSD box. I haven't decided if it still is. This green wire is just a spare that I ran through while I could. It's bundled up under the dash. I figured I'd better just put a terminal on there. This actually goes to the brake, but until I know exactly where we're routing it and where it's going to get clipped, I don't want to accidentally make it too short, and it's not attractive to make it too long either. So that's kind of where we're at. I should be able to get all of the engine wired with the exception of the O2 sensor, obviously the VSS and the backup lights because they're on the transmission, and the starter feed. So the cable down to the starter and any cabling coming up from the starter, because I haven't decided yet. Oh, and of course the starter solenoid. I haven't decided if I'm feeding this off the starter or straight off the battery. I do have fusible link material somewhere, but I'll probably just steal my kit from the Impala for now and just order another kit. It's $30-some. It comes with all the connectors and everything. And, you know, the right length of fusible link, you know, like American Auto Wire used to do, you know. Hate those things. They're terrible. You know, where do you run a cable that heavy on a classic car? So that's where we're at right now. Well, I went up in the 427 and was looking, and I couldn't find that alternator wire harness and fusible links, and that's because I put them in the courier and I completely forgot about that. So I've got a couple in our Summit cart, adding them down at the starter anyway. I think this car has plenty of room to use the traditional method. I think that's going to work out the best for us, so those are going to go down by the starter anyway. I want to look for more black heat sleeve for that, although I'm not opposed to using the silver. The black really does look nice, so we'll look at that. You can see I'm starting to kind of work my way across. I did go ahead and build up, because I've got plenty of wire and connectors. Went up and built up our alternator feed. That's going to go down to the starter and get a 12 gauge, which is the blue fusible link. And then the one for the cab is going to get the 14 gauge, which is the brown, which is way more than enough power for the options in this car. And that will work out slick. Then the other thing I'm looking at is, how do I want to do that? Well, I'm probably coming around like this. This is the kind that slips into that long, weird connector, which I don't have any more of. But I'm probably going to change it over to a locking connector anyway. So instead of what we've got there, dig, yeah, we'll put one of these on one end and a single spade on the other, and that'll work out pretty nice. So yeah, this is actually coming along pretty well. We're managing things pretty well. What I'm trying to do is bring as much wiring either over the top of the battery tray or behind the battery tray and around the battery as possible. I'd love to not have too much coming off the front. Probably not going to have a lot of options when it comes to the main power cable down to the starter and the main ground. They're going to have to. Just, trying to make that arc, that'd be a pain. But anything I can do to keep things out of, this volume here, I'd like to do. So we're working on that. I can't snap this around the front yet, and I'm still thinking about how I want to do these. I know for a fact that these are not the clips I want to use. I would like to do it without having to drill a couple little mounting holes, but if I have to, I will. I have no problem with that. Turns out I'm just drilling holes in cars left and right anymore. May not seem important, but it looked like it was time to go ahead and mount this bracket. I don't need to work in here anymore. So we've got that mounted. This is for the coil. I don't want to forget that. But I also don't want to run it exactly with everything else. So I think it's going to follow one of these breather lines and not the main harness, because those tend to be very noisy. All right, it's been a little while. We're getting more kind of run around. It took some doing, but we have a little MSD plug wire cap on. That was a nightmare. That was very not fun. And now I'm starting to look at coil wire. This is what actually triggers the coil. This obviously is the coil wire, because the coil is going to be right next to the battery, in probably not our favorite location, but the location we have. No, I haven't minded it yet, but we're going to run that one very low. Hopefully you can see that. And then all the rest of the sensitive stuff very high. So hopefully that multi-spark trigger doesn't cause us too much noise. We happen to know that snipers, they don't really like noise. But we also think burying the IAC like that, that should really help with the noise, electrical noise. So we're hoping that works out pretty slick. Still a lot to do under here yet, but it's slowly getting there. Pretty happy with it. And I'm just going through everything I got here, trying to find my coil bracket. I don't remember, we designed one and it bolts right here. I'll be dipped if I can find that thing. It's got to be somewhere. Well, I'm still waiting on that. I did just set that in there and kind of look, and the coil winds up kind of right here-ish. So, and obviously I couldn't have hit that because that was always there. So it's going to be in here somewhere, which means I may do something I don't normally do. Normally on GM vehicles, I just run the power cables straight down the bell housing right there when I go to the starter. I'm just looking at, I don't know that I'm going to have real good clearance and control. I really need to pick the car up a little and look. But what I may do instead is bring, power starter, alternator, bring those down under the battery tray. Hopefully you can see around, and then towards the front with the big battery cable. I may do that. I need to crawl under there and take a look and see what my clearances look like. But I've got plenty of length to do it. There's no reason I can't. That may make maintenance easier. We'll see. Give me a minute. ShopDog agrees. That looks like a viable plan. The only issue is the lug on the starter, because it's an aftermarket mini starter, may not be large enough for all of the wires I want to put on it. And if that is the case, then I can either, because of where they'll be routed, bring them up to the battery. Well, I mean, obviously that would go down either way. Or give myself a power distribution point. These aren't super expensive. They're pretty reasonable, and I like them, and there's plenty of room here to mount one if I need one. So I'm going to plan on bringing all my power here, which of course means I need heat shielding here, but I was planning for that anyway. And the beautiful thing is I know exactly where it all has to come out, what it can be mounted to. Yeah, that'll work out pretty slick. I think I like that option. Also, anything I don't have to do under the car sure helps. Just slowly figuring out how I'm going to get the wiring across here. Like I said, I think I was going to run it along that. I don't want it to just sit on top of the Dizzy, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get it raised back here. Probably zipping it to this hose. But quite a bit of this I want to actually come down here. So this may get slid back or pulled back off and trimmed. Remember, these are the 3 that go... Oh, where did I put that harness? Oh, right here. To this. And then those were for the fan. This one right here comes from this gray wire. Now the gray wire is right here. So I don't know if you noticed, I probably don't need this to be as long as it is. So I'll probably pull that back. And, gray wire just goes to the violet. So we'll deal with that. I'm trying to get it so that the bulk of these connectors all kind of sit right here, where honestly, even at a car show with the battery there, it's not going to be as noticeable there as it would, here. So anything I can do, I mean, the downside to the convenience of something like the Snipers is the cables are what they are. The connectors are what they are, and they go where they go. So, you gotta weigh that convenience and low cost versus, the perfect installation, which, could be done, getting a Dominator or even a Terminator and making all your harnesses yourself. I don't know that there's really any advantage to that. Not for what we do. We're not Riddler Award types. We're, hey, let's make something cool types. So you can see that's coming along. As another weekend is coming to a close, we're really starting to get somewhere. Now remember, this won't be visible, but I really wanted these to be nice and protected. There should be heat stack up here, I would expect. So those are nice and protected because that's our main power feed to the cab, as well as our starter, and from the alternator. So those are all going to go to the same point electrically. Let's see here. We have coil. We'll just set that out of the way for now. This is those 3 wires to go here. This gray wire goes right here to the violet, so I'm probably gonna pull all this apart, de-pin it, and just make something a little easier there. This pink wire is actually going to, or this red wire is going to get fed right here, so I'll make a connection here, and then that will power the Sniper, power the fuel pump, because the blue wire. Also key the relay inside the MSD to tell it to turn on. I've got the MSD's actual power here, so this is the actual power for the MSD right here. Oh, and the heater, I made a connector and it's now wrapped in here, nice and out of the way. This section's coming along pretty good. I do gotta finalize how I want this. Like I said, I think I'm gonna just pull this apart and shorten it. No reason to leave it so long. And yeah, this is coming along pretty good. The harness is about to kind of become permanent-ish. The power feed for the Sniper is still probably going to run right here, just like I'm doing this one, but on its own, just like I'm doing that. I want to get some more thinner heat shielding for under there. And yeah, this is working out pretty slick. Anything I can hide and keep safe, I'm going to. This section over here, we still don't have anything actually screwed in anywhere. It all just is floating. I've got to reclamp that, but I'll deal with that later off screen. This ignition feed here is not being used. This was originally going to be the feed for the MSD, well, for the HEI you know, is what it really would be for, but for the MSD. But it turns out that only draws 200 mils, and it's just a internal relay. So I hated wasting that entire feed for that. So this will also become a spare switched ignition. So this harness here is all going to kind of just circle and dump right in here. So that made that a lot easier, so we can get that on. And yeah, as soon as we can get the bulk of this worked out, then we can figure out where the relays have to go for this harness. I'm imagining, you know, they're going to be here-ish, probably literally right there, I would think. And we'll do those with some nut certs, I'm sure. You know, got the nice little locations. So this has really come a long way today. I think I'm going to order a little more heat sleeving. We obviously have to order the fusible links. I do have some bulk number 12. I don't have any bulk 14 right now, but it's just as cheap to just order the piece I need because it already has the connector I want, and then I don't have to source that because this project has used an awful lot of my connectors because we're not using hardly any actual 55 stuff. So got to go through and do all that. I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I'm getting very close to needing furniture, at least the center console, the rear seat, the rear door card, because that has to go in before the rear seat. I'm not bothering with the front door cards in the beginning because I know there's some things he wanted to redo for some window channel, and I think there's a grommet or something that he wanted to redo, and there's also like a stopper that we were able to finally source. So we've got stuff in the door card to do, but I also can put the door card on anytime. Don't have to do that before the interior can go in. So what I really want is the carpet, the seat frame, because I'm pretty sure the console bolts to it, that little plate that goes there, the back seat, the card for the back seat, the rear quarter panels or door carts, and the rear console. And that's how we're going to work all that out. And then once the console is kind of placed, I can start looking at what I want to do, because I do want some lighting in the rear footwells off of the console, but I don't want to order anything until I know what they need to look like. You know, they don't have to be super bright, but boy, it sure is nice to be able to see the footwell in the back when you open the door. Modern cars have that right. And obviously still waiting on that knob and the brake switch. So hopefully he gets those this week and we can get all that done so we can start actual electrical testing. I need a couple little plugs. We'll deal with that. So yeah, hopefully in the next week or so we can start getting some of the furniture in here, get the rest of the wiring worked out. Once that's all worked out, and I don't even, well, maybe the passenger seat. I don't think I want the driver's seat in right away because remember, the tranny's got to come back out to change that clutch. Once that's done, I think then it's time to remake some brackets on the winch and work on getting this winched out, or well, rolled out. I think I'm pretty sure the brakes in this work. So I was, well, yeah. So then we would need a seat. So of course, you know, it's just 4 bolts to take it back out. Get that down. Move this. You know, we'll have to add some bolts in here to bring it up, but then we can winch the 55 back up onto the lift, pick it up, you know, do the transmission, get the rest of the wiring that's down low done. Yeah, this is really coming along. So got to do the fans, got to get a little more done as far as the power feeds, get the sniper harness laid in, get that all working, and get this expansion harness and brake done. And what are you? Oh, and this is from the distributor to the box. I don't have these pins, so we're probably just gonna roll and hide. But yeah, this is really coming a long way. Pretty happy. Oh, that's the other thing, is I will keep looking for clips I like for that. You know, I think that's gonna work out slick. This is It's getting there. It's getting really, really close to testing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you later.